The moment Sarah stepped into Michael's modest apartment, clutching her threadbare backpack, she knew her life would never be the same. What she couldn't possibly know was how this stranger, a single father struggling to raise his own daughter, would transform her from a girl who slept in park benches to someone who believed in second chances again. If you're touched by stories of unexpected kindness and lives being transformed through compassion, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us of the good in humanity. Sarah huddled under the thin awning of the corner store, watching sheets of rain turn the sidewalk into a river. 3 days on the streets had taught her that staying dry meant staying alive. At 17, with nowhere to go after her mother's boyfriend had kicked her out, each day had become a brutal lesson in survival. The store's fluorescent lights flickered, casting harsh shadows across her face. Her stomach growled, a persistent reminder that the last of her money had gone to a small coffee that morning, bought only so she could sit in the warmth of the cafe for an hour before being asked to leave. "You can't stay here all night," the store owner called out, his voice tinged with annoyance rather than concern. Sarah pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders. "Just until the rain stops," she pleaded. "That's what you said yesterday," he replied, crossing his arms. "I'm closing in 10 minutes. As the owner disappeared back inside, Sarah felt the familiar sting of tears. She blinked them away quickly. Crying was a luxury she couldn't afford. Crying meant weakness, and weakness on the streets was dangerous. The rain showed no signs of letting up. Sarah gathered her backpack, containing everything she owned in the world, and prepared to face another night of searching for shelter. Just as she stepped into the downpour, a voice called out from behind her. "Hey! Wait!" Sarah turned to see a man in his late 30s, holding an umbrella in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. His face was kind but tired, with the weathered look of someone who had faced his share of hardships. "You need somewhere to go?" he asked, his voice gentle but direct. Sarah stiffened. She'd learned to be wary of offers from strangers, especially men. "I'm fine," she lied, even as rainwater dripped from her hair down her face. The man nodded, understanding her caution. "My name's Michael. I live 2 blocks from here with my daughter, Emma. She's 12. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "Look, I've seen you around the neighborhood for the past few days. Sleeping in the park isn't safe." Sarah remained silent, her guard up. "I work at the community center," Michael continued. "We have a program for teens who need temporary housing. I can take you there, or..." He hesitated. "We have a spare room at our place. Just for tonight, until we can get you proper help tomorrow." Something in his eyes, a genuine concern that Sarah hadn't seen directed at her in years, made her hesitate. Or perhaps it was simply the prospect of a dry place to sleep. "How do I know I can trust you?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the rain. Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out an ID card with the community center's logo. "You don't have to. We can go straight to the center, but they're closed for intake until morning. You'd have to wait in the lobby." Sarah weighed her options. The community center's lobby would be dry, at least. But something about this man's straightforward offer, devoid of the usual pity or judgment, made her consider the alternative. "I have a daughter," Michael added quietly. "I'd hope someone would help her if she was ever in trouble." After a moment's hesitation, Sarah nodded. "Just for tonight." Michael's apartment was small but immaculately clean. The living room walls were covered with framed drawings, clearly the work of a child, and photographs of Michael with a smiling girl who had his same warm eyes. "Emma's already asleep," Michael explained in a hushed voice. "She has school tomorrow." He showed Sarah to a tiny spare room that appeared to double as a home office. A futon had been hastily made up with clean sheets and a thick blanket. "Bathrooms down the hall. There are clean towels if you want to shower," Michael said. "And I made some pasta earlier if you're hungry." The mention of food made Sarah's stomach growl audibly. Michael pretended not to notice, preserving her dignity. "I'll heat some up," he said casually, heading to the kitchen. Left alone, Sarah took in her surroundings. The room was simple but comfortable. A desk held a laptop and stacks of papers, bills, she realized, many stamped with final notices. On the wall hung a calendar filled with notations: Emma, soccer practice, overtime shift, rent due. It was the calendar of someone barely keeping their head above water, yet Michael had still offered her shelter. After a hot shower, her first in days, Sarah found Michael in the kitchen, setting a plate of pasta on the table alongside a glass of water. "It's nothing fancy," he apologized. To Sarah, who had been surviving on vending machine snacks and discarded fast food, it looked like a feast. She ate slowly, trying to maintain some composure despite her hunger. "Thank you," she said between bites. Michael nodded, sitting across from her with a cup of tea. "Tomorrow we'll go to the community center. They can help with more permanent arrangements, maybe get you back in school." Sarah stiffened. "I'm not going back to my mom's." "No one's going to make you go anywhere you don't feel safe," Michael assured her. "But you're 17. You should be finishing high school, not sleeping in parks." "Why are you helping me?" Sarah asked abruptly. "Most people just look away." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Because someone helped me once," he finally said. "Before Emma was born, her mother and I were homeless for a while. A social worker named Gloria refused to give up on us. Got us into housing, helped me find work." His eyes grew distant. "Emma's mom couldn't stay clean. She left when Emma was 4. But I never forgot what Gloria did for us." Sarah absorbed this information, seeing Michael in a new light. "What do you do at the community center?" "I coordinate the youth programs. After-school activities, mentoring, that sort of thing." A small smile crossed his face. "It doesn't pay much, but it matters." For the first time in months, Sarah felt something other than fear or anger, a tiny spark of hope that perhaps her life wasn't permanently derailed. Sarah woke to the sound of quiet voices and the smell of coffee. Sunlight streamed through the window of the small room, momentarily disorienting her until she remembered where she was. Gathering her courage, she ventured into the kitchen to find Michael making breakfast while a girl, Emma, she presumed, sat at the table, backpack at her feet. "Morning," Michael greeted her. "This is my daughter, Emma." This is Sarah. She's going to be staying with us for a little while." Emma looked up from her cereal, studying Sarah with curious eyes. "Hi," she said simply. "Do you like pancakes? Dad makes the best pancakes." The easy acceptance in the child's voice caught Sarah off guard. Yeah, I do." "Good, because he always makes too many," Emma said matter-of-factly, returning to her breakfast. Michael placed a plate of pancakes on the table. "Eat up. We need to leave in 20 minutes to get Emma to school, then we can head to the center." The normalcy of the morning routine, a father making breakfast, a child gathering schoolbooks, made Sarah's chest ache with longing for what she'd never had. After dropping Emma at school, Michael drove Sarah to the community center, a brick building with colorful murals decorating its exterior. Inside, the walls were covered with flyers for various programs, GED classes, job training, counseling services. "Gloria still works here," Michael explained as they walked through the hallways. "She's the director now." Gloria turned out to be a no-nonsense woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. She listened to Sarah's situation without interruption, then laid out options with remarkable clarity. "We have transitional housing for youth," she explained. "You'd share an apartment with other girls your age, with adult supervision. You'd need to be in school or working toward your GED, and there are curfews and rules." Sarah nodded, trying to process everything. "Or," Gloria continued, glancing at Michael, "we sometimes place youth with approved host families. People who've been vetted and trained to provide temporary homes. Michael cleared his throat. I've been a host before, he said to Sarah. If you'd be more comfortable staying with us until something more permanent comes along, that's an option too. Sarah looked between them, overwhelmed by choices after days of having none. You don't have to decide right now, Gloria assured her. Why don't you spend the day here? We have classes and activities. You can get a feel for the place, meet some of the other kids. It seemed like a reasonable compromise. Sarah agreed, and Michael showed her around before heading to his office. I'll be here all day if you need anything, he promised. The day passed in a blur of new faces and information. Sarah attended a GED prep class, had lunch in the center's cafeteria with other teens in similar situations, and even participated in an art therapy session that left her feeling unexpectedly lighter. By the time Michael found her in the recreation room that afternoon, Sarah had made her decision. I'd like to stay with you and Emma, she said quietly. If that's still okay. Michael's smile was warm. Of course it is. Emma will be thrilled, she's already planning to show you her rock collection. The paperwork took several hours. As Sarah's temporary guardian, Michael would receive a modest stipend to help with expenses, and Sarah would be required to attend school and weekly counseling sessions. It's just temporary, Gloria reminded them both. The goal is reunification with family when possible, or independence when it's not. Sarah nodded, though the thought of returning to her mother's home, and her mother's boyfriend, made her stomach clench with anxiety. One day at a time, Michael said gently, as if reading her thoughts. The first week with Michael and Emma was an adjustment for everyone. Sarah, accustomed to fending for herself, struggled with the routine of family life. Michael, used to parenting a preteen, found himself navigating the complexities of a teenager's needs. And Emma, initially excited about their new house guest, occasionally bristled at sharing her father's attention. But there were moments of connection too. Sarah discovered that Emma needed help with math homework, a subject Sarah excelled in, and their evening study sessions became a ritual both looked forward to. Michael found that Sarah had a natural talent for cooking and gladly surrendered kitchen duties several nights a week. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" he asked one evening as they enjoyed a pasta dish Sarah had prepared. Sarah shrugged, uncomfortable with praise. "My mom worked nights when I was younger. I had to feed myself." Michael nodded, understanding the unspoken parts of her story. "Well, Emma and I are grateful for your skills. I've been banned from making anything more complicated than pancakes." "That's because you burned the grilled cheese," Emma piped up, giggling. The smoke alarm went off and everything. Sarah found herself smiling, a genuine smile that reached her eyes for the first time in months. As weeks turned into months, Sarah settled into a routine. She enrolled in the local high school, joining the junior class. The coursework was challenging after her extended absence, but with Michael's encouragement and the center's tutoring program, she began to catch up. Gloria checked in regularly, monitoring Sarah's progress and ensuring the placement remained appropriate for everyone involved. "You're doing well," she told Sarah during one of their meetings. "Michael says you're thriving." Sarah felt a flush of pride at the words. "He makes it easy," she admitted. "Him and Emma both." Gloria's expression softened. "Michael has a gift for seeing people's potential. It's what makes him so good at his job." She paused. "And what made him such a good candidate for our host family program? Has he hosted other kids before me?" Sarah asked, curious about the lives that had intersected with Michael's before hers. "A few," Gloria confirmed. "Michael believes in paying forward the help he received. Not everyone does." The knowledge that she wasn't the first troubled teen Michael had taken in should have diminished Sarah's sense of specialness. Instead, it deepened her respect for him, this quiet man who opened his home again and again, despite his own struggles. The first real test of their new family dynamic came 3 months into Sarah's stay, when her mother unexpectedly reached out through the community center. "She wants to see you," Gloria explained during their weekly session. "She says she's left her boyfriend and is getting help for her drinking." Sarah's hands trembled in her lap. "I don't believe her. She's said that before." "You don't have to see her if you're not ready," Gloria assured her. "But she is your mother, and she does have rights." The prospect of reuniting with her mother sent Sarah into a tailspin of anxiety. That night, Michael found her sitting on the fire escape outside her bedroom window, tears streaming down her face. Without a word, he climbed out to join her, careful to leave space between them. "Gloria told me about your mom," he said after a while. Sarah wiped at her tears angrily. "She always does this. Gets clean for a few weeks, promises things will be different, then goes right back to choosing men over me." Michael nodded, listening. "I can't go back there," Sarah continued, her voice breaking. "I can't." "No one's making you go anywhere," Michael assured her. "Not until you're ready, and not until we're sure it's safe." "What if I'm never ready?" Sarah asked, voicing her deepest fear. "What if I want to stay here instead?" Michael was quiet for a long moment. "Then we figure that out too," he finally said. "One step at a time, remember?" His calm acceptance was like a balm to Sarah's raw emotions. For the first time, she allowed herself to lean slightly against his shoulder, accepting the comfort he offered. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," Michael replied. "Being scared is okay. Running away from what scares you isn't always the answer, though." Sarah knew he was right. The next day, she agreed to a supervised visit with her mother at the community center. The reunion was awkward and tearful. Sarah's mother looked better than she had in years, clear-eyed and properly groomed, but the damage between them couldn't be repaired in a single meeting. "I'm sorry," her mother said repeatedly. "I'm getting help this time. For real." Sarah maintained her distance, emotionally if not physically. "I've heard that before." "I know you have," her mother acknowledged. "I don't expect you to believe me right away. I just want a chance to prove it." By the end of the hour, they had reached a tentative agreement. Sarah would remain with Michael while her mother continued treatment. They would have weekly visits, gradually increasing in length if things went well. "You did great," Michael told her afterward, as they drove home. "That took a lot of courage." Sarah stared out the window, processing the encounter. She seemed different this time. "People can change," Michael said carefully. "Not always, and not overnight, but it happens." "Like you did?" Sarah asked, remembering his story about being homeless before Emma was born. Michael smiled slightly. "Like I try to do every day. Change isn't a destination, it's a journey." The wisdom in his words stayed with Sarah long after they returned home. As spring turned to summer, Sarah's life continued to transform. Her grades improved dramatically. She made a few friends at school. Her visits with her mother became less strained, though Sarah remained cautious about fully trusting the changes she observed. At home, she had become an integral part of the household. She helped Emma with homework, cooked dinner 3 nights a week, and even joined Michael in his weekend ritual of volunteering at the local food bank. "Why do you do so much for others when you barely have enough yourself?" she asked him one Saturday as they sorted donations. Michael considered the question. "Having enough is relative," he said finally. "By some standards, we're struggling. By others, we're incredibly fortunate." He handed her a can to shelve. "Giving back reminds me of that perspective." It was a perspective Sarah was beginning to understand. Despite the modest circumstances of Michael's home, she had found something there that had been missing from her life even during the times when her mother had money, stability, respect, and genuine care. The summer brought new challenges. Michael picked up extra shifts to cover the increased food costs of having a teenager at home. Sarah found a part-time job at the local library, insisting on contributing to the household despite Michael's protests. "You should be saving for college," he argued. "College?" Sarah laughed. "I'm just trying to graduate high school." Michael's expression grew serious. "You're smart, Sarah. Smarter than you give yourself credit for. College should absolutely be in your future." His unwavering belief in her potential was both inspiring and terrifying. No one had ever expected so much from Sarah before. One evening in late July, Sarah came home from work to find Michael at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers, his expression grim. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting down her backpack. Michael looked up, clearly startled. "Hey, didn't hear you come in." He quickly gathered the papers. "Just some bills. Nothing to worry about." But Sarah had seen enough to recognize the header of a medical bill. "Are you sick?" No, Michael assured her. "Emma had some tests done a few months back. Insurance didn't cover everything." Sarah frowned. "Is Emma okay?" "She's fine," Michael said, too quickly. Then, seeing Sarah's skepticism, he sighed. "She has some kidney issues. Nothing life-threatening, but it requires monitoring and medication." "Why didn't you tell me?" Michael shrugged. "You had enough to worry about. And it's been managed for years." Sarah felt a surge of frustration. "I'm not a child, Michael. I live here too. I should know these things." "You're right," he conceded. "I'm sorry. I'm just used to handling everything myself." The admission revealed a vulnerability Sarah hadn't fully appreciated before. Michael, who seemed so capable of caring for others, struggled to accept help himself. "How much do you owe?" she asked directly. Michael hesitated. "It's under control." "That's not what I asked." After a moment, he named a figure that made Sarah's stomach drop. It was more than she made in 3 months at the library. "I'm picking up overtime," Michael explained. "And there's a payment plan. We'll be fine." Sarah nodded, but her mind was already working. The next day, she approached her boss at the library about additional hours and took on a second job at the cafe across the street. She told Michael it was to save for college, a half-truth that he accepted with proud encouragement. For the next month, Sarah worked nearly every day, coming home exhausted but satisfied that she was contributing more to the household expenses. She set aside a portion of each paycheck, creating a small fund that she planned to give Michael when it reached a meaningful amount. Emma was the first to notice the toll the schedule was taking. "You look tired all the time," she observed one evening as Sarah helped her with summer reading. "Like Dad when he works double shifts." Sarah mustered a smile. "I'm fine, just busy." But Emma, perceptive beyond her years, wasn't convinced. "Is it because of my doctor bills? I heard Dad talking to Aunt Lisa about them." Sarah's heart sank. "No, sweetie. It's not because of that. Dad says we have to make sacrifices sometimes," Emma continued, her young face serious. "But he also says family helps each other." The simple wisdom hit Sarah hard. She had been so focused on proving her worth, on repaying Michael's kindness, that she'd forgotten the most important lesson he'd taught her: family meant supporting each other, not keeping score. That night, after Emma was asleep, Sarah approached Michael with her savings, nearly $800. "What's this?" he asked, confused. "For Emma's medical bills," Sarah explained. "I've been working extra shifts." Michael's expression shifted from surprise to understanding to gentle refusal. "Sarah, no. That's your money. You earned it. And I want to help," she insisted. "You and Emma are." She hesitated, struggling to find the right words. "You're my family now. And family helps each other." Michael's eyes glistened with unexpected tears. "You quoted me to myself," he said with a small laugh. Emma quoted you first, Sarah admitted. Michael looked at the money, then back at Sarah. I can't take this. You can, Sarah countered. Or I'll just start buying groceries with it instead. After a long moment, Michael nodded. Thank you, he said simply, his voice thick with emotion. It was a turning point in their relationship, an acknowledgement that Sarah wasn't just a temporary placement but a vital part of their family unit. As summer waned and Sarah's senior year approached, Gloria called a meeting to discuss the future. Sarah's mother had maintained her sobriety for 6 months, completed a parenting program, and secured stable housing and employment. She's made remarkable progress, Gloria explained. And she's expressed a desire for you to come home, Sarah. The words hung in the air like a physical weight. Sarah looked at Michael, whose face remained carefully neutral. What do you think? Gloria prompted gently. Sarah took a deep breath. I think I need more time. Gloria nodded. That's understandable. Your mother understands that trust needs to be rebuilt. It's not just that, Sarah continued. I'm starting my senior year. I have friends, activities, a job. Moving now would disrupt everything. Those are valid concerns, Gloria acknowledged. What if we propose a compromise? You continue living with Michael through graduation, with increased visitation with your mother, including overnight stays when you're comfortable. It was a reasonable solution, one that allowed Sarah to maintain the stability she'd found while working toward potential reunification with her mother. I'd like that, Sarah agreed, relief evident in her voice. Michael squeezed her shoulder supportively. Whatever you need, we're here for you. The meeting ended with a plan in place, but as they drove home, Sarah remained quiet, lost in thought. Want to talk about it? Michael asked. Sarah stared out the window. What happens after I graduate? If I go to college, where's home? If I don't, where do I go? Michael pulled the car into a parking lot and turned to face her. Sarah, listen to me. No matter what happens with your mom, no matter where you go to college or if you choose a different path entirely, you will always have a home with Emma and me. Always. The certainty in his voice broke something open inside Sarah. Why? She asked, her voice cracking. Why do you care so much about what happens to me? Michael's answer was simple but profound. Because you matter, Sarah. Not because of what you do or what you achieve, but because of who you are. It was everything Sarah had needed to hear her entire life. Senior year brought college applications, SAT prep, and the gradual rebuilding of Sarah's relationship with her mother. The overnight visits, initially awkward, became more comfortable as Sarah witnessed her mother's continued sobriety and commitment to change. She's really trying, Sarah told Michael after returning from a weekend stay. She got a promotion at work. Her apartment is nice, small, but nice. Michael smiled. I'm glad. You deserve to have a healthy relationship with her. But it's different, Sarah admitted. We're more like friends now. Not really mother and daughter. That happens sometimes, Michael said. Relationships evolve, especially after difficult periods. The important thing is that you're both trying. Sarah nodded, grateful for his understanding. I applied to the state university, she said, changing the subject. And the community college as a backup. That's great, Michael enthused. Though you should aim higher too. With your grades, you could get scholarships to more competitive schools. Sarah shook her head. I want to stay close. What she didn't say, but Michael seemed to understand, was that she couldn't imagine being far from the family she'd found. As winter melted into spring, acceptance letters began arriving. Sarah was admitted to both the state university and community college, with a partial scholarship to the former. I'm so proud of you, Michael told her, his face alight with genuine joy. First person in your family to go to college. The achievement felt monumental. Sarah, who had once believed her education was over when she was kicked out of her home, was now planning for university. "I couldn't have done it without you," she told Michael. "You did the work," he countered. "I just provided a stable place for you to do it." But they both knew it was more than that. Michael had given Sarah something far more valuable than shelter. He had given her belief in herself. Graduation day arrived with all the pomp and emotion such milestones entail. Sarah, in cap and gown, scanned the audience until she found the faces she was looking for, Michael and Emma, beaming with pride, and beside them, her mother, sober and present for the first time in years. After the ceremony, the unlikely group gathered for photos and celebration. "I'm so proud of you, baby," Sarah's mother said, hugging her tightly. So proud." "Thanks, Mom," Sarah replied, returning the embrace with genuine warmth. Michael hung back, giving them space, until Sarah beckoned him forward. "Get in the picture," she insisted. "Both of you. My whole family should be in it." The word family bridged the gap between her past and present, acknowledging that love could be found in unexpected places and that family wasn't always defined by blood. Later, at the small celebration Michael had arranged at their apartment, Sarah found a moment alone with him. "I have something for you," she said, handing him an envelope. Inside was a card with a simple message: "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Beneath her signature, she had written, "P.S. I've decided to accept the state university offer. I'll be commuting from home, if that's still okay with you." Michael read the card twice, his expression softening. "Home," he repeated. "Yes, Sarah. This is your home for as long as you want it to be." It was the greatest graduation gift she could have received, the knowledge that the safety and belonging she had found were not temporary but lasting. 3 years later, Sarah stood in the same high school auditorium, this time watching as Emma received her middle school diploma. Beside her sat Michael, now officially her legal guardian despite her adult status, and her mother, who had maintained her sobriety and built a life that, while separate from Sarah's, remained connected through regular visits and shared holidays. "She looks so grown up," Sarah whispered as Emma crossed the stage. Michael nodded, his eyes suspiciously bright. "Time flies." Sarah thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment, from that rainy night outside the corner store to her current life as a college junior studying social work, inspired by Michael's example and Gloria's guidance. "You changed my life," she told Michael, not for the first time. "I don't know where I'd be if you hadn't offered me shelter that night." Michael smiled, the lines around his eyes crinkling. "You changed ours too, you know. Emma adores her big sister. And I." He paused, searching for words. "I'm just grateful we found each other." As Emma bounded toward them after the ceremony, Sarah reflected on the title that had once seemed so foreign but now fit perfectly, family. Not by blood or by law initially, but by choice and love and the daily decision to show up for one another. It was a reminder that sometimes the most profound connections come from the simplest acts of kindness, like a single dad helping a poor girl on a rainy night, neither of them knowing how completely their lives would intertwine. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind us all of the power of compassion and the beautiful ways lives can be transformed through unexpected kindness. Remember, family isn't always defined by blood, sometimes it's created through the connections we choose to nurture and the love we choose to give.